Personal friends
Yeah.
and the like.
The Star-Spangled Banner is neither an easy song to sing or a typical Aretha tune. How does the prospect of doing it sit with you?
I enjoy it. My sister said that. Irma said the same thing.
What? She said what? That it's not an easy song?
That's not an easy song to sing. Yes, it is.
It is?
Yes.
Why? I mean,
melodically, it just is.
But now I don't know my music, okay? But supposedly it has such a range that no matter what key you begin in, the lows are too low and the highs are too high. That's not true?
No, because when you have range, you can go from one end of the spectrum to the other.
It has been over 3 years since the world was stunned by the death of Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. There is a lot to be said about her, especially in the wake of the third season of Genius, as well as the 2021 film Respect, both of which chronicled her and led to a re-examining of her private personal life and backstory. But how did Aretha Franklin, born to a preacher in Memphis, Tennessee, become a legend, the Queen of Soul?
Let us all go back to the old.
Aretha Franklin was born to Clarence LaVon Franklin, or C.L. Franklin, a minister, and Barbara Siggers. She had 3 siblings, Carolyn, Irma, and Cecil. The family relocated from Memphis to Detroit, Michigan, as her father became a renowned preacher, coined the man with the $1 million voice. Her mother died when she was 10, and her father pushed her to sing in church and take piano lessons. Eventually, she recorded her first live album at New Bethel Baptist Church in 1956. She also toured with her father. 4 years later, John Hammond, the same talent executive who discovered Billie Holiday, helped Franklin sign a contract at Columbia Records in 1960. At just 18 years old, with a record deal at a major recording company, Aretha Franklin seemed destined to become a star. Her first single on Columbia, Today I Sing the Blues, peaked at number 10 on the R&B charts, while charting dismally on the pop charts. An album, Aretha with the Ray Bryant combo, followed in February of 1961. It was described by Billboard as featuring jumping blues as well as standards in the vein of a Dinah Washington. And although she was touted as a magnetic new artist, saucy, teasing, and shouting, her debut flopped. Her next Columbia LP, the electrifying Aretha Franklin in March of 1962, featured her rendition of Rockabye Your Baby with a Dixie melody, which charted within the top 40 on the pop charts. It was one of 3 singles released from the LP, with the next 2 charting dismally on the pop charts. The album was well received by Billboard, as they noted it was a standout performance that should get much play. It didn't get much play nor sales. It should have been clear to someone at Columbia that perhaps something was wrong with the musical direction Aretha Franklin was being taken in. Still, Columbia cranked out her next LP, the tender, the moving, the swinging Aretha Franklin. It was her first to chart on the pop charts, but still failed to generate a hit single. It was followed by Laughing on the Outside in 1963.
Have you anything to say to me?
In the March 1964 issue of Jet magazine, she is quoted as saying, "Columbia Records know, and they know that I know I haven't gotten the same big build-up they've given, say, Barbra Streisand or Robert Goulet." In an attempt to capitalize on her black fandom and perhaps squeeze a hit out of Aretha, She recorded Running Out of Fools, an album with a soulful titular track and covers of popular R&B hits, with the standout being her rendition of the Shoop song. Running Out of Fools was also a flop, as was her next, and thankfully her last Columbia release under her contract, Yeah, in 1965. I say it was her last under her contract because Columbia released several more albums of her Columbia material to no fanfare after she'd already signed to Atlantic. The problem with Aretha's tenure at Columbia Records was that they simply did not know what to do with her. This is what Columbia was known for, having vocalists croon on lavishly produced tracks that at their best married the sincerity of romanticism and pop's mass marketability, and at their worst, handicapped musicians. Although Aretha sounded good during this era, she recorded so much of everything that she had no distinctive sound. On one album, she could go from singing out of the Great American Songbook to singing a composition of gospel great James Cleveland.
I'm only one step ahead of
Aretha said no to renewing her contract with Columbia in 1965.
I know I can't afford to stop for one moment, 'cause I'm just out of reach of your fingertips.
In January 1967, Jerry Wexler, an Atlantic Records producer, took Aretha to Alabama to record what would become her first Atlantic LP at the famed Fame recording studio, with backing that more suited Franklin's voice. It was on January 24th, 1967, that Aretha recorded the song that would catapult her out of the background. Now, at this point, I could interject and discuss her first husband, Ted White, famous pimp, and his antics that ruined this recording session, but I will not give him the time of day. The session at Fame Studios had to be relocated to New York, where Aretha finished recording Do Right Woman, Do Right Man, and laid down some more tracks for her debut Atlantic LP. I Never Loved a Man, The Way That I Love You was released as a single in February 1967. It was her first crossover hit, selling 250,000 copies in its first 2 weeks of release, setting records for Atlantic. And was quickly followed by another single. A cover of Otis Redding's Respect, which with the help of her sisters Irma and Carolyn, she flipped into a stirring anthem for civil and women's rights.
What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, you know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you get home. A little bit, hey, baby, just a little bit. Get home, just a little bit. Oh, yeah, just a little bit.
And went on to number 1 on the pop charts and R&B charts. Her first Atlantic album, Never Loved a Man, was a success, going number 2 on the pop charts and garnering her a gold record. That Atlantic quickly followed up with the aptly titled LP, Aretha Arrives, in August of the same year.
Don't be afraid, baby, just ask me. You know I'm gonna give it to you. Oh, and I do declare,
Its hype single, Baby I Love You, was a top 10 pop hit, and was described as electric. Aretha had for sure arrived.
At 13, please.
Come back, baby. Baby, please don't go. 'Cause the way I love you, you never know.
By September 1967, it was clear that Aretha Franklin lived up to her title as the Queen of Soul, having been crowned 3 years earlier. Material for Aretha's third Atlantic LP was recorded over a 10-month stretch from February to December 1967. The resulting project, Lady Soul, continued the winning streak that Never Loved a Man started, and the first single from the album, released in September 1967, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, was a top 10 hit on both the pop and R&B charts.
Living for, and if I make you happy, I don't need to do more, because you make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman. Oh, you told me to leave you alone. My father said, come on home. My doctor said, take it easy. Oh, your loving is much too strong. I'm ready to
The next single, Chain of Fools, was an even bigger hit, just barely missing the #1 spot on the pop charts and topping the R&B. Album Aretha Now was released in June and peaked at number 3 on the pop charts. Aretha's rendition of I Say a Little Prayer was her next single in July 1968, and it too was a crossover hit, despite having just been recorded by Dionne Warwick.
The moment I wake up, before I put on my makeup, I say a little prayer for you. Oh, yes, I do. I'm combing my hair now and wondering which dress I'm gonna.
Her next album, Soul 69, failed to match the success of Aretha Now.
The blues walked in this morning, but it's bad, and even sad. Oh, it's not fair.
In July 1969, Atlantic released the single Share Your Love With Me. It became a #1 R&B hit and cracked the top 20 of the pop charts.
You must be, oh yeah, gonna be ashamed, ashamed. Somebody loving
The accompanying album, The Girls in Love With You, was released in January 1970. Another single, Call Me, was released that month, and it too went #1.
I love you. I love you. I love you too. Baby, will you love me? Love me, come on. You get there.
8 months later, she released yet another album, Spirit in the Dark, which spawned 2 successful singles, a cover of B.B. King's Don't Play That Song,
Play that song for me, 'cause it brings back memories of days that I once knew, of those days that I spent with you. Oh no,
Her next album, 1972's Young, Gifted, and Black, spawned a host of successful singles. Most notably Rocksteady, which was a crossover success. Aretha's next release marked a return to her roots and captured her in her natural habitat, the church. Released in June 1972, Amazing Grace is both the best-selling live gospel album and Aretha's best-selling album, period. An accompanying documentary was filmed, but technical issues caused it to sit unreleased for over 4 decades. Quincy Jones was tapped to produce her next album, Hey Now Hey, The Other Side of the Sky, but it underperformed, despite generating a #1 R&B hit, Angel.
Fly away with me.
Aretha rebounded with 1974's Let Me In Your Life. The first single, Until You Come Back to Me, was a hit, topping the R&B charts and peaking at #3 on the pop. The final single, also a cover, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, peaked at #6 on the R&B charts and garnered Aretha her last Grammy Award for Best R&B Female Vocal Performance.
See a picture hanging on the wall, but it can't sing or come to me when I call.
By 1974, Aretha had been in the spotlight for 7 years. Music was beginning to change. Disco was creeping over the horizon, and her sales waned, evident with her November 1974 LP, With Everything I Feel in Me. 11 months later, You was released. It performed worse than her previous album, and it was clear when only one of the 3 singles crossed over to the pop charts that Aretha's chain of hits was quickly becoming one of flops. It took Curtis Mayfield to break this chain, as he produced the soundtrack for the 1976 film Sparkle. The soundtrack was entirely sung by Aretha and was released in May of 1976. It spawned the hit single, Something He Can Feel. The second single, Jump, did not fare as well, peaking only at #17. Although Sparkle gave her a much-needed jump, her 1977 album Sweet Passion failed to continue the momentum. Its lead single, Break It To Me Gently, topped the R&B charts. It charted abysmally on the pop charts, and thus began a true chain of flops for Aretha Franklin. She began her Atlantic tenure on a high note and ended flat. In 1980, she met Clive Davis, president of Arista Records. Soon she signed a deal with Arista, and an LP followed, simply titled Aretha. Although the album and its lead single, United Together, were massive successes, they performed moderately. In 1981, Arista released Love All the Hurt Away. The titular track, a stirring duet with George Benson, was an R&B hit, and its second single, Hold On, I'm Coming, garnered Aretha her first Grammy in 6 years. Overall, the LP was a top 40 hit, charting the path for her third Arista release.
One of the most difficult aspects of being a recording star is maintaining a career over a long period of time. There have been numerous artists who have captured the public's attention with one hit song, never to be heard from again. Once in a while, though, you find an Elvis Presley or a Mick Jagger or a Frank Sinatra who just keep right on cranking out the hits. And on any such list of superstars, you have to include the name of Aretha Franklin.
Jump To It was released in 1982 and was Aretha's record-breaking 10th #1 R&B album. Its titular track was also #1 R&B hit and top 40 pop hit and was nominated for a Grammy Award.
Can't talk to you now, got love again. My baby called, I gotta jump to it. I'm in a hurry, there's love to get.
The album was her first gold-certified release since Sparkle, and also generated her an American Music Award.
I'd like to thank my producer, Mr. Luther Vandross.
Her next release, Get It Right, a shameless attempt to replicate Jump To It, success did not match its predecessor's success, despite generating a #1 R&B hit. 2 years would lapse before the release of her next LP.
Ooh, boy.
1985's Who Zoomin' Who was a departure from her first 4 Arista releases, marketing Aretha to a younger crowd. Teaming her with producer Nerida Michael Warren, the album went platinum and peaked at number 13 on the pop charts. 3 of its 5 singles had accompanying music videos, which were rotated heavily on MTV. Freeway of Love, the LP's first single, peaked at number 3 on the pop charts. The next single, Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves, which featured the British duo Eurythmics, peaked at number 7. Its next 2 singles, Another Night and Ain't Nobody Ever Loved You, charted respectfully as well. 1986 saw the release of yet another Aretha, which continued her rekindled pop success with the George Michael duet, I Knew You Were Waiting for Me. The album's 4 other singles, which included Jimmy Lee, and the Rolling Stones song Jumpin' Jack Flash, were all accompanied by heavily rotated music videos and had showings on the pop charts. In 1987, she became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The next 7 years of her career saw continued success on both the pop and R&B charts, as well as another live gospel recording. In 1994, Aretha became a Kennedy Center honoree, denoting her contribution to American culture. By this time, she'd already won the Grammy Legend Award and the Lifetime Achievement Award, and so it's safe to say she was a living legend. But how?
Honey, she's tough. She's worth getting wet for.
Ever since I was a little kid, she sings, it hits me in the heart. I gotta listen to it.
She's the only one of the few people who can take the lyrics and make you feel every single word and every single emotion.
Aretha has been said to make people feel every lyric of her songs.
The blues walked in the sprung.
This no doubt comes from her gospel background, but I feel it also comes from something within. Jerry Wexler once called her the
Lady of Mysterious Sorrow, because that sadness seems to be her underlying condition.
And Aretha's uncanny ability to channel her sadness, joy, or anger into her music without trying lends her music an authentic air.
If you want to have fun, come home with me. You can stay all night and play with my TV.
Under the direct influences of greats such as Clara Ward, Alberta Walker, and Dinah Washington, it's no wonder why she became such a stellar vocalist. Not only could she sing, but she could play the piano as well, a skill she was so proficient at by 10 that she ran from pianist.
And he did get me a music teacher, but when she would come, I would run away and hide. I didn't want to take music lessons out of the baby book. I wanted the intermediate book, and I wanted to run before I could walk.
Yeah.
Now, upon his approach to this man's bed, looking down on his broken...
Aretha had immense talent, but there are countless talented individuals languishing unknown for a myriad of reasons, chief among them being no support. Aretha had the endless support of her father, who, other than Aretha herself, is among the reasons she was signed to Columbia. His steadfast support was crucial to her development as an artist.
What a searching question.
At Columbia, she sang about having soul, but at Atlantic, she sang with it.
Sitting here thinking, I'm trying to write a song. Now if I don't get me a hit soon, I won't be here long. I got a lyric writer, got me a piano man, and we're making these words just as tight as we can. Now we want these words tender and bold. They don't have to be strong. Just give us a whole lot of soul.
Jerry Wexler, the man who coaxed Aretha into a contract with Atlantic, also saw Aretha's talents, and so much so that he gave her the freedom to do as she pleased, which is why she became so wildly successful at Atlantic. She was comfortable, in control, at the piano.
I can be a very nice lady, a real life wife. They call me the woman of the future, y'all. I'm the almighty fine, yeah.
She was something like a chameleon, retooling herself throughout the years while remaining true to her sound. Although disco gave her a run for her money and nearly ended her career, when she got this right, she sat atop the pop charts with bubblegum synths and guitar riffs that seemed in theory too youthful for a woman who 2 decades earlier cried,
Rockabye, your rockabye, baby, with a Dixie melody.
but because nothing Aretha Franklin did was contrived, or, for a lack of a better word, forced, it worked.
It's pretty flashy stuff.
There is also her activism, which goes without saying, as her signing with Atlantic was preceded by the Montgomery bus boycott, the mutilation of Emmett Till, and the assassination of Malcolm X, as well as the 1963 publishing of The Feminine Mystique, which ticked off the second wave of the feminist movement.
I really wasn't satisfied with it. Overall, I think it came out very good, with the exception of my performance on it.
The period spanning from 1967 to 1972 saw the death of MLK, the death of Bobby Kennedy, the fall of Detroit and eventual Motown exodus, and Angela Davis being wanted by the FBI. Her music was shaped and informed by these events, and she was always a shepherd for her people. She offered to pay for Angela Davis's bail, and she was scheduled to perform 4 days after King was assassinated at a memorial concert for him in Atlanta, a performance that never happened. She did perform at his memorial service.
Because when the wind and the wind drive outside, but all we need is you, Jesus.
She received death threats, and no doubt for her powerful presence as a force for change.
Most people don't know how much work she did with Martin Luther King. She devoted an enormous piece of her life to Martin Luther King, which meant giving of herself, yet she herself was not a sloganeer or a polemicist.
And in every one of our lives, it's almost done.
One side sea, one side the field.
I could go on and on and on, but sustaining a fruitful career through the many changes of the music industry, being influenced by some of the best singers ever, guidance by some great men who at times misunderstood her, and speaking truth to power, even the small shady ones. That is why Aretha Franklin is the queen and prima ballerina of soul.
Now that it's over, I feel the whole world
falling all around me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.